Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Good morning and very warm welcome to our Facebook and YouTube channel TAC, the Academic Concepts. My dear viewers, today we are going to discuss intrapersonal communication. This is the fourth lesson of our series of lectures, How to Improve Communication Skills. So let's see what's coming up. In intrapersonal communication, we'll discuss the self, self-concept, self-image and self-esteem. Then the intrapersonal communication process, and finally, how to improve intrapersonal communication. The word intrapersonal means within a person. Intrapersonal communication happens inside an individual. In this type of communication, a person communicates within himself. He acts as both sender and receiver of the message. It comprises of unspoken words to consciously undertake inner speech or self-talk. This process is not merely thinking. Although this is part of the process, intrapersonal communication includes more than what we think. This communication comprises of what we communicate within ourselves. Intellectual or social growth of an individual largely depends on this communication. It helps a person to know himself and develop his self-concept, self-motivation and self-determination. For example, every day we decide our schedule like where to go, how to dress and what to eat. This type of internal communication forms the foundation for all other levels and types of communication. The personality of a person depends upon intrapersonal communication, how he reacts to the received messages from others and how he sends messages to others. Now, the self. The role of self in intrapersonal communication is very vital and complex. The complex role of self is an intimate part of this communication process. It is very important to understand the role of self in the communication. The self is how a person sees himself, or the sense of who he is. This sense of self is the base of how one communicates with others. It can be regarded as the fundamental concept of level of confidence one enjoys. The term for that sense of self is known as self-concept. Self-concept is an idea of self-constructed from the belief one holds about oneself and the responses of others. It is the image of who a person is, a total picture of an individual, how one perceives the different parts of himself that combine to form a total picture. In other words, how he sees his whole self. It can be an intellectual self, psychological self, spiritual self, social self and physical self of a person. A self-concept is also considered as a reflection of the reactions of others towards the individual. How others see a person, like colleagues, parents, siblings, etc. How a person interacts with different groups and individuals and they see and react to him. He picks up signals and eventually changes himself as a result of this feedback. In fact, what research reveals is that most of our sense of self thus comes from interactions with other people, like family, friends, or co-workers. In this process, an individual constantly modifies his self of sense. This is because we are always interacting with other people, and because we are always communicating with others, we are therefore always learning more about ourselves, and our self-concept keeps on transforming. Self-concept is made up of two components, self-image and self-esteem. First of all, self-image. It is literally a picture or image of who you are It describes you. If you take out a piece of paper and list the various roles that you play in life, you could come up at least 6, 8, or maybe 10 different roles that you assume in your daily life. For example, you as a student, as a son or daughter, as a sibling, as a colleague, as a friend, these all are different roles that you play in life. What's important about identifying different roles is that you communicate differently in each one of these roles. To be an effective communicator, you should correctly imagine yourself in each role. Self-esteem is how you evaluate yourself in different roles. How do you see yourself in each role? How do you rate your performance in the various roles you play in life? On a scale of 1 to 10, are you good or bad? Great to terrible, positive to negative, effective to ineffective? No matter what evaluative scale you want to use, it is measured by how you evaluate yourself in each role. Self-esteem is the process of self-evaluation. It is how you feel about yourself in each of the roles, but it is certainly affected by how others evaluate your performance in a particular role. To be found lacking in the performance of a particular role results in upset feelings and diminished self-esteem. So by now we have studied the self, which is having the self-concept, and self-concept is having two different parts, self-image and self-esteem. I hope you have well understood till now. Now coming over to the intrapersonal communication. This communication process depends upon the communicator's frame of reference, his creativity, self-talk, and risk-taking behavior. We'll discuss each of that. First of all, frame of reference. Your frame of reference refers to the way you view your world. It can be explained as a structure for encoding and decoding messages. It consists of all that you bring internally to the communication situation: your beliefs, values and attitudes, self-concept, cultural background, memory of experiences, expectations, feelings and level of stress, your thinking patterns and other psychological factors. As a listener, understand the way the speaker's frame of reference may differ from yours. This can help you to better understand and react to the speaker. And as a speaker, understanding the frame of reference of your listeners, this will allow you to adopt your message for high level of clarity and persuasive impact. Creativity. It is one of the most important skills required to improve communication skills. Creative thinking involves visualizing something in an innovative, new or unique way. In our personal and work lives, creativity can be important to each of us, particularly when solving problems. We can increase our creativity by learning to think in less traditional ways. Routine thinking patterns and structures prevent free or open problem solving. The extent to which we have developed our creative thinking affects the way we send and receive messages, the way we interact with others, and our potential for success in new situations. Self-talk. Another vital aspect of intrapersonal communication is known as self-talk or imagined communication. In this communication, individuals talk to themselves as they were another person. The communication takes place in their minds internally instead of externally. Practical example of imagined conversation could be of drama artists imagining communicating before it takes place. They rehearse their roles. They see themselves in front of the audience. See some artists playing their roles and picture their director making a positive response. This approach can help most speakers to succeed in public communication situations by reducing their anxiety. Imaginary communication is a phenomenon mostly we avoid discussing. People who talk to themselves are often considered crazy. Imagined communication or self talk is an important aspect of our intrapersonal communication process. Although we may not be thinking of this communication, we discover that it helps us to prepare for future communication. It deals with our feelings and learn from our past communication. Risk-taking behavior. The willingness to take risks largely depends on our interpretation of past experience. We are focusing on risk-taking in communication. If we have found risk-taking to be fun, adventuresome, or thrilling, then we are more inclined to make risky moves. At least a minimum amount of risk is necessary for growth and development. When we communicate, we risk rejection by others, threaten our self-concept and intrapersonal process. Often before speaking, we consider the communication in terms of risk. So now coming over to the final part, that is how to improve intrapersonal communication. My dear viewers, mostly we may not spend a lot of time considering our intrapersonal skills, but they come into play regularly, and following are the aspects which will help to improve this. First of all, we have to think why these skills are important. Then make time for self-reflection. Make and keep a schedule for yourself. Redirect your natural talents. Avoid negative thoughts. Cultivate compassion. And finally, give meditation a try. So this comes towards the end of our lecture. I hope you have well understood the complete talk which I have delivered today. So please, if you like this channel, subscribe it and press bell icon so that we meet regularly. If you like this video, please press the like button, and for your candid opinion, please use the comment box. Thanks a lot and stay blessed.